In a neighborhood, a worker jumped from a ladder after a power line transformer suddenly began sparking and smoking while he was working on it. As he landed, he slipped on the ground, injuring his lower back, while the transformer continued to arc and emit smoke overhead. This incident clearly demonstrates the extreme dangers of electrical work performed on energized equipment. Transformers can fail without warning, releasing electrical arcs and heat that pose immediate burn and shock hazards. Power sources must be properly isolated and verified de-energized before maintenance begins, and workers should use insulated tools, wear arc flash protective gear, and maintain secure ladder footing. Inside a restaurant, a delivery worker slipped at the entrance and collided with a food warmer, spilling hot water onto himself. As he tried to stand up, he lost his footing again due to the spill on the floor and fell a second time. This incident clearly demonstrates the serious hazards of wet floors and unsecured hot equipment in public walkways. Entrances must be kept dry and clear, and hot water displays should be positioned away from high-traffic areas. Non-slip mats, proper signage, and immediate cleanup of spills are essential to prevent slip-and-fall accidents and scald injuries. Inside a metal works factory, a worker was crushed when a bundle of thin metal sheets lifted by an overhead crane suddenly flipped toward him after a lifting strap broke. The worker had been standing close while guiding the suspended load when the failed strap caused the sheets to overturn without warning. This incident clearly demonstrates the extreme dangers of standing near suspended loads and relying on compromised rigging. Workers must never position themselves in the line of fire of overhead loads, and taglines should be used to guide materials from a safe distance. At a construction site, a worker was struck on the head by a small metal object that fell rapidly from above, while he and two co-workers were standing and talking. Fortunately, he was wearing his hard hat, which absorbed most of the impact and prevented a more serious injury. This incident clearly demonstrates the dangers of falling objects on active construction sites and the importance of wearing proper head protection at all times. Tools and materials at height must be secured to prevent drops, and exclusion zones should be enforced beneath overhead work. On a flyover, a speeding car was thrown off the roadway during a long curve and crashed violently into a parking lot below, severely injuring multiple people. The vehicle lost control on the turn, left the elevated roadway, and struck the ground with tremendous force. This incident clearly demonstrates the deadly consequences of excessive speed on elevated roadways and curved ramps. Drivers must reduce speed when approaching long turns, especially on flyovers where guardrails and elevation amplify crash severity. Proper road barriers, warning signage, and adherence to speed limits are critical to preventing vehicles from leaving the roadway and causing catastrophic impacts. Inside an old apartment building, a delivery worker fell through an open gap in the floor after unknowingly stepping into it in the middle of the walkway. The worker was unfamiliar with the building and did not realize the floor opening was there before it was too late. This incident clearly demonstrates the severe hazards of unguarded floor openings and poor building maintenance. All holes and gaps in walking surfaces must be properly covered, barricaded, or clearly marked. Property managers should ensure safe walkways for visitors, and workers entering unfamiliar buildings must proceed cautiously. Installing guardrails and warning signage is essential to prevent sudden fall-through accidents. Inside a furniture showroom, a worker fell from a ladder and injured her hip and lower back when one side of the ladder suddenly slid backward while she was about to adjust a light fixture. She had reached the top of the ladder when it lost stability, causing her to drop to the ground. This incident clearly demonstrates the dangers of using unsecured ladders on smooth indoor floors. Ladders must be placed on stable, non-slip surfaces and fully locked before climbing, and a second person should steady the base whenever possible. Workers should maintain 3 points of contact and avoid overreaching at height. Inside a mall storage room, a distracted worker fell through an open floor opening while being on his phone. He plunged toward the lower level, but was fortunately caught by stacked boxes below, avoiding serious injury. This incident clearly demonstrates the dangers of distraction and unguarded floor openings in active work areas. Workers must avoid mobile phone use while walking, especially in storage and service zones with changing layouts. All floor openings must be securely covered, barricaded, or clearly marked at all times. Proper lighting, housekeeping, and maintaining situational awareness are essential to preventing potentially fatal fall-through accidents. Inside a grocery warehouse, a forklift operator crashed into a pole while talking on his phone and driving. Distracted by the conversation, he failed to notice the obstacle ahead and drove straight into it. Fortunately, no one was nearby, and the pole was sturdy enough to prevent further damage. This incident clearly demonstrates the dangers of the distracted operation of industrial vehicles. Forklift operators must never use mobile phones while driving, as even brief distractions can lead to collisions. Operators should maintain full attention on travel paths at all times, and warehouses must enforce strict policies against phone use during equipment operation. At the back of a furniture store, a rogue forklift tips over, flipping and launching an operator along with it. It was an unmanned forklift that began rolling out of the facility. Another forklift operator ran to try to stop it by grabbing onto its forks, but he was too late. This incident clearly demonstrates the extreme dangers of leaving forklifts unattended and unsecured, even for brief moments. Forklifts can move unexpectedly and create severe crush and ejection hazards. Operators must always engage parking brakes, remove keys, and secure vehicles before stepping away. Attempting to manually stop a moving forklift is extremely dangerous. Inside a plastic storage facility, a forklift operator was struck hard by a reversing forklift while taking a turn. The first operator had been driving unusually fast for a forklift and failed to anticipate traffic at the corner, resulting in a collision. This incident clearly demonstrates the serious dangers of excessive speed and lack of awareness when operating forklifts in confined storage areas. All forklift operators must adhere to safe speed limits, use horns when approaching blind corners, and maintain full attention to surrounding traffic. Establishing one-way aisles, corner mirrors, and clear communication protocols are essential to prevent collisions and crushing injuries. Inside a recycling facility, a worker was injured when a reversing forklift ran over his feet. The worker had stepped off the designated walkway into the forklift traffic area while walking to lunch, and the operator did not see him in time to stop. This incident clearly demonstrates the dangers of pedestrians entering active forklift zones. Facilities must enforce clearly marked walkways, keep pedestrian and vehicle traffic separate, and ensure operators remain vigilant at all times. Workers should always stay within safe pedestrian paths, and spotters or warning systems can help prevent struck-by injuries in busy industrial environments.